My name's Laura, and this is a series of videos called Storytime, in which each one I will discuss one particular story that I'm in the midst of writing. Each of these stories is at a different point, and none of them are particularly complete, but I have a series of ideas about the characters and the setting and where the story will go that I'd like to share with you, my audience, hopefully. I'd like to hopefully get some constructive feedback on my ideas and just share these ideas in case I never get around to actually finishing the actual stories. So, first off is this video, which I have titled Fairies, Werewolves, and Dragons, Oh My, in a sort of homage to The Wizard of Oz. I think this is probably one of the first stories I started, and it focuses on two main characters. The girl, Illyria, whose full name is Illyria Greenwood at the start of the story, but may not actually be her birth name because she had changed it in order to start over her life where she's living now. Illyria Greenwood is a fairy, or at least she thinks she is. In reality, she is half fairy, half sky person, which is really just a convoluted way of saying dragon shapeshifter. Of course, because the dragon shapeshifters live on clouds and rarely actually visit the land, I decided to label them as so. At the start of the story, she is undergoing a particularly stressful time in her life as she is connected to another thing which I came up with, which I labeled the Webbed, another kind of weird name, and may be changed by the time the story goes forward or as I'm writing it. It was just sort of a description of the sort of things that they do. The Webbed are spirit healers, according to my notes. They are considered the blessed. Unlike other members of the Hidden, which are the various creature societies around the world, such as the Fairies and the Werewolves and the Sky People, who can't spend a large amount of time away from their own people without consequences. The Webbed can spend all of their time away from members of their own society without being adversely affected. The Webbed can appear among any of the magic creatures. So, though Illyria is a member and she's a fairy, that doesn't mean that only fairies are members. They unconsciously, or at least mostly unconsciously, feed off the excess energy of the souls around them. This doesn't cause detrimental effects to the people around them. Rather, it just feeds off the abundance of energy. They also calm other people, and they're empathetic, but they can tune out people's mental voices so that their emotions don't hurt them. They turn negative energy into positive energy. And they get their name from the theoretical web that connects them to other people. So Illyria, one of the main characters of this particular story, is one of these people. So at the start of it, she's having trouble really shutting out other people's voices because she's in this period of emotional turmoil. So she tends to wear an amulet of sorts around her neck, which is made of blue chalcedony. And according to my research, it's a stone that fosters balance between mind, body, and spirit. It's a calming and peaceful stone that reduces hostility, anger, and irritation. It soothes and fosters mental and emotional stability and can facilitate emotional honesty. It also encourages and eases communication, particularly what would otherwise be emotionally charged communication. It's efficient for psychic work and skills of clairvoyancy, intuition, and energy healing. It also helps reduce or eliminate bad dreams by getting rid of the influences that cause them. It's a protective property, which is evidenced by the physical and emotional realms. It is often used for protection from the evil eye, according to my research, and protection from evil, particularly evil magic. It's what she wears to keep her calm. It's not entirely due to her status as a webbed that she has to wear this stone. As I've said, she's part sky person, and unlike the other races, sky people rarely have members of the webbed because of their very nature. They're combative and cruel, and it's really a good thing for others that they don't visit the land. Often, within the story, not much is known about them. They're not considered members of the Hidden by the members of the Hidden because of the way that they're perceived and the way that they act, because their perception, other people's perception of them, isn't actually inaccurate. They are cruel and they're sadistic, and they're better off staying on their clouds where they can't cause issues for the rest of the people. They look human for the most part, or most of them do. A lot of them maintain horns and claws and wings, even in their more human-like appearance. The dragon's color reflects their souls, and so most or all dragons are darkly colored or red. Illyria herself has a dragon form, which she has not accessed at the start, and even when she does access it, I'm not sure she'll be able to fully turn dragon, or just have claws and wings. But unlike her family members on her father's side, she is almost entirely white when in her dragon form, which is a reflection of her soul in comparison to her full-blooded kin on that side of her family. They're closely associated with fire and can control fire and electricity and heat. They're also effective shields against telekinesis. Illyria herself, because of her mixed heritage, is closely associated with both fire, water, and earth, though in various degrees. Because on her Fae side, she's she has the water and the earth, and on her sky person side she has the fire. It's this fire and the characteristics of her father's side of the family that she's trying to keep under control with use of the Chalcedony. At the start of the story, she's a waitress, and she's just trying to find a way to live apart from the Fae side of her family, because after an incident happened, she decided it was safer for them if she separated herself. Of course, there was also an incident that may have resulted in her forced expulsion from the group. It didn't go that far, but that didn't mean a lot of the people didn't want her to leave, with certain key exceptions, which I'll explore later. Her hair is coppery colored, and she has ice blue eyes. She's 5'6" and small boned. She's been having trouble with her claws and from her dragon form, and when she gets upset, they come out. Her father and her mother were married when she was born, but it was mostly a I'm not sure how to describe it. It wasn't like a love match or anything. Her father didn't love her mother, though her mother was trying to change her father for the better, according to her to what her fairy blood said was the way that he should act. Of course, it was without hope, because he wasn't capable of that change. This is the one who's making noise. Isn't she adorable? And he ended up poisoning her, not realizing that she was pregnant, and through the nature of her pregnancy with his own child, she was protected from the poison until she gave birth, at which point the poison overtook her, and she ended up succumbing to it and dying, leaving her daughter on her own with relatives who were not particularly happy with her heritage. They didn't really take it out on her for the most part, but stop that. Unlike the werewolves in my particular story, the Fae, though they must live close to each other in order to survive and must come together at certain times, they're more spread out within the wooded realms. They're not as closely knit as a werewolf community might be. So So at the start of the story, mostly we just know that her best friend was recently killed, and she was forced through her own power to leave the Fae realm because she was attempting to protect the rest of her people. So we meet her when she's a waitress, and she meets the other main character, whose name is Evan Ridge. And he, surprise, surprise, is a werewolf. I say surprise because, it's right there in the title. You have the fairy and you have the sky person. You must have a werewolf at some point. He meets Illyria at the start of the story, and he feels there's something different about her, but he can't exactly pinpoint it. He's an only child. His father is dead, and his mother was strict and taught him manners, but he loves her very much. The werewolves in my story are extremely long-lived. He's about 300 years old at the start, and they live to about 900, thereabouts. That's only now, of course. If I later decide to reduce their lifespans, his age will correspondingly drop, because he only looks to be about in his early 30s. And a correction. When I said that the hidden, that's not exactly all the supernatural creatures. That's the supernatural creatures that have partially separated themselves from the human realm. So like the fairies, they have specific key points in the forests of our world where you can step through and end up in their realm. But so they're hidden. And Evan has he's knowledgeable about a lot of things having to do with the hidden, even though they're considered myths among those members who aren't so separated from the human world. And that's sort of all the information I had about him, too. The story's not, this is one of the stories that's not fully established. So the main ideas I have is she's going to have some sort of conflict with her father, and the story will explore that and her learning to control her more aggressive instincts that come from his side of the family, and how Evan helps her through that, and how she finds her place in the world. And so it's not really fleshed out. The characters aren't as fleshed out as some of my other stories are, but I guess this was a good place to start. So, thanks.